Ladies and gentlemen, this is a topic my media department doesn't like me talking about. I was told not to do it when we started the trials. We're going to talk about rental spread. What is it and how does it influence you? Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
Good morning.
Billy Drury, how are you this morning?
Very well, thank you. By definition, rental spread in real estate refers to the difference between current rental rate for a property and the market rate of the previous, what was previously rented. Commonly used in discussions about property performance, leasing trends, and investment returns. There you go. That's what we're talking about this morning.
Did you chat GPT that or something? That's a yes. Why is it important? I actually personally get very excited about spread when it's with sales prices in residential, commercial, when it's with leased prices. I love knowing what it used to be rented for and what it is now rented for. I love knowing what it was purchased for and what it was sold for. That's called the spread. So I actually get excited by it, and I told the media team I would like to advertise the rental spread. So what it was rented for, I want to do a tile to put up on social media and to market what it was rented for and what it is now rented for. And the ladies in media said politically incorrect. I was like, what do you mean? They said that's like bashing tenants. And I'm like, no, that's just the market. That's what the market's doing. And they're like, yeah, but you're exposing, the difference of what the landlord's going to get. They're not going to like that, the tenants. I'm like, yeah, but what about landlords that are paying double or triple on their mortgages, and that gives them some reprieve to go, okay, well, I can probably hold on to my rental property now because the rents are going up a little bit by that much. It sort of helps, but then at the same time, it was a really difficult conversation, to be honest with you, and even to bring it on air and have a bit of a chat about it. It feels like I'm a bit exposed. But it's a hard.
Reporting the facts though, and look, if it's not on a tile, you can find this information on domain realestate.com.
You can't find spread anywhere.
Yeah.
Where do you find it?
So let's smash through some of these tiles. And look, these are these are just facts here. So I'm going to shift this side a little bit. Let me know if you can see me all right. We've got a variety of properties here, but this is a really entry-level apartment. It's like a studio apartment. Some come furnished, some not. Up in Belrose, old rent $450 a week, new rent $480 a week. You can see that in the top right corner, leased in 2 weeks. Really important
spread
market as well. This would be a one two better in a newish building in DY. Previously $780, new rent $840, 2 weeks. That's a big jump.
$60 spread.
Townhouse in DY, a great spot of DY, up near the beach. Old rent $1,030 a week, new rent $1,290. Massive jump.
That's huge.
Now I'm just keeping an eye on these days on market. They're all 2 weeks so far. Here's another 2-bedroom down the beach end of DY. Old rent $850, rent $950. 720 to 780. There'd be another 2-bedroom, western side of Pittwater Road. On the main road, nice building, about 20 years old, 610 to 630, leased in 2 days. Wow.
Quick.
600 to 830, Lawrence Street, Freshwater. Now, some of these properties, I do have to admit, when it's a massive jump like that, it could be an old lease. That's the tenant's vacated and the owner's not increased the rent for a couple of years, and it's naturally just caught up to market value once they've done the relet.
Property renovation, kitchens and bathrooms have been done, What else we got?
Another 2-bed in DY, slightly more affordable, $650 a week, leased in 2 days. They are going quick. Old rent $930, new rent $950. This is in the Meriton complex in Woolworths.
Yep.
Paddington, we do lease out of area as well.
Yeah.
Old rent $1150, new rent $1250. Glenmore Road, beautiful spot.
Not bad.
Another one in Ilokai Place, DY, and DY. There you go. New building as well.
And I think it's nice, our metrics, because we are the largest rental agent north of the Harbour Bridge, so we can rent out 70 properties in a month. So it's big numbers, and when we're talking about rental spread, we're very exposed to it. Now, there's a couple of factors that you mentioned that are contributing to the rental spread: the economy, the market going up, lack of properties in the market, landlords selling out of the market, interest rates going out. Sometimes landlords are going for the cash grab. There's certainly definitely a lack of properties out there. So there's a lot of different things. It could be a tenancy where a tenant had been there for 12, 15 years and a landlord affectionately didn't want to move the rent that much, and now they want to bring it to market and catch up from what they lost with the old tenant. So there's a lot of different reasons for it.
Spot on. And the stock levels at the moment are considerably quite low, to give people the metric on the northern beaches. And it will probably only cut down between now and the new year. There's not a lot of new stock being replenished. So if you're a landlord or an investor looking at putting supply back into the market, it's being received well, hence the short days on market.
Yeah, so the vacancy rates at the moment, good point, Lisa, and this is something that I get surprised that I get asked. So owners say to me, is it hard to rent a property out, or I don't really want to buy an investment property because it's going to be difficult to rent out. Quite the opposite on the northern beaches of Sydney. We would never have a property that we can't rent. Residential properties rent very, very easily. The reason why is there's plenty of good comparisons. It's whether it's a house or a unit, there's plenty of similar stock. It's not like a rural area where it's something like that we rent out once a year. So we've got plenty of comps, so we can provide that to the owner, meet market, rent it out.
Yeah, and we're coming into a good time of year for the beaches. There is a lot of activity, a lot of local traffic coming in for summer. We're fortunate with our beautiful beaches. It does attract people looking for that lifestyle. But there's 3 levers that you can pull if you're a homeowner questioning why is my property not renting. It's price, and that might just be the pricing strategy. It's the product. There might be improvements that you can make to the home itself, and it could be appliances, it could be paint, it could be carpet, it could be all of those 3 things. Or it's the promotion. You're just not being seen. And so realestate.com for our local markets, the biggest property portal, there is an investment to get on it. However, it is worth it. That's where the attention is. If you're struggling to get people through based on your pre-market or off-market tenants.
Billy, how would a prospective tenant feel when they look at advertised rental spreads? It can't be a good feeling. I think sometimes you'd look at that or maybe quite the opposite. You look at that and think $20, that's reasonable. Reporting.
Well, look,
what do you think about this number?
These tenants are not looking at the spread. It's not like a homeowner doesn't look at what their mortgage was 2 years ago, and then think, let's move out of the property. You've constantly got to just be moving forward, and so I think they're conscious about. I find tenants are more conscious about what their outgoings are today than what they will be 3, 6, 12 months ago. And to be a homeowner, you've just got to be competitive in the market. If there's a lot of competition and other homes are being rented for a similar price, be attractive, come in slightly under, get the tenant engaged. You might just get them in on a 12-month lease and then review the rent down the line. But the worst thing you can do as a homeowner is not have anyone in the property, because it's if it's a 1 or a 2 bedroom, it's $500,000 a week rent loss.
Now, Billy, you got a couple of properties. Can I ask you a personal question?
Sure.
Your spread on your mortgage for a typical apartment, 1 bedroom, 700 grand,
Yeah.
when it was a 2% rate to when it was a current rate, what did that equate to? What was the difference over a month?
It's 300 a week, negatively geared as a
So
landlord.
when it was 2% to when it was 6%.
Yeah, it was about break even at 2%, and about 300, 350 a week negative.
Okay. Okay. So there you go, guys and girls. We can clearly see the pain tenants are going through. We feel for our tenants. We understand that. We can clearly see the pain that our landlords are going through, because just on a typical 1 bedroom entry level unit, there's $300 a week there. Your spread of what your repayments have been. Now, for a property of double that value, like a 2 bedroom unit, that spread's probably $600 a week. So I think you can confidently say that tenants have been affected by the rental spread that we've spoken about today. And I think that you can clearly say that more affected are even landlords by the difference they're paying in their mortgages per week.
Correct. But it's all about helping each other. And so when there's a shortage of supply, it's about landlords, being incentivized and feeling good about providing good accommodation. You're a property provider today.
Yeah.
You're not just an investor. An investor can invest in stocks and shares or put cash in the bank and get 5% return. So you're a property provider. It's about providing good accommodation. It's about helping each
Love
other.
that.
And I think that really goes hand in hand. You do get looked after with a good tenant if it's you're good from the start.
I love that.
That's the show. If you need help,
That's
give us
the
a call. There's a lot of agencies that will be slowing down over Christmas. Landlords can't afford to keep their properties empty. We want to help.
There you go. That is rental spread in the marketplace. Thank you, Billy Bob.
See ya. Have a good Tuesday.
Bye.